Somebody asked me to do a blog. I thought I'd do a video blog. Somebody asked me to do a blog on Dharma, your life's purpose, fits in, discipline, and support of nature. I think there's this idea that when you're doing your life's work, I'm being carried. It's like down the Swanee River with a mint julep and an umbrella on a nice big inner tube floating along, and that's what it'll be like when I'm doing my dharma, But see, that's not necessarily true. In fact, it's probably not going to be true. In other words, most of the time, that's not the way it is. The relative is full of chaos, full of karma, full of confusion, full of conflict, full of polarity. It's the field of polarity. It's the world of polarity. It's the world of separation. It's the world of challenges and obstacles. You can look at it that way. Your life's work has to do with, again, breathing from that place of divinity, functioning from that place of your true nature, who it is you really are. You see? And when you do that, you're going to receive support of nature because you're living in harmony with all of Mother Nature. You're living in harmony with Mother Nature, nature with a capital N, you see? And so that's what support of nature means. But when you live that and you rise up from that place, doesn't mean there aren't going to be challenges, doesn't mean it's not going to require discipline. That's why I like that picture of Lady Liberty on the 1793 large cent, United States large cent. They're facing the wind with the wind blowing through her hair, She's doing her dharma. She's doing her allotted duty. She's living her life's purpose. But the winds of karma are blowing right in her face. But she moves forward steadfastly. And does she receive support of nature from that? Absolutely. Does that mean there are no obstacles? Absolutely not. You see? So that's all, I think, clear, and that makes sense. The reason it gets confusing, the reason it gets difficult is you ask yourself, am I doing my dharma? Is this my dharma? Or am I just aligning with my conditioning, my flywheel, we call it, the momentum of what we've been programmed to think we want, what we've been programmed to believe, That's where it gets confusing, and that becomes challenging. Am I meeting with this resistance because it's nature telling me I shouldn't go that direction, or am I meeting with this resistance because it's karma? And the relationships I've seen people have with that are ridiculous. I've had people who come to my introductory lectures, love my introductory lectures. Oh, I'm coming to the school. They do the application or something like that, and they lose their application. They say, oh, well, that must be a message from God. Must be a message that I'm not supposed to come there, so I guess I won't do it. Crazy. So we need to have a mature relationship with these things. And really, if you think about it, all of the different principles that I give you, first and second response, higher and lower self, when we talk about that and what that really means, all those different things you could view as tools to try to discern, to try to determine whether or not you're living in harmony with your true nature or if you're living in harmony with the winds of karma in the direction they're trying to blow you. It's not an easy distinction to make, but it's one you must strive to make. And that's called the path of discernment. That's the whole path of discernment. That is the spiritual path. Trying to discern, which is it? Is it my true nature? Or is it my programming, my conditioning, my biases, the twists of my own psyche? Yet we still ask for cookbooks. We still ask for a simple way we can decide. And if we can't, then we pull out the ruins or we pull, whatever, something to try to tell us. Somebody tell me. And no, that's not the path of discernment. The path of discernment is to learn how to attempt to discern that within your own being. And that has a lot more to do with the process than it has to do with actually getting the right answer. It has a lot more to do with your ability and your willingness to go through the process of discerning than it has to do with coming up with the right answer. I would respect a person a lot more, and that person would be living in harmony with nature a lot more if they really discerned, but somehow along the line came up with the wrong answer, than somebody who just guessed and came up with the right answer. So cultivate the ability to discern. I noticed in the school lately a really great thing, and that is that, for years, first 10 years of the school, so many people would come up to me and say, oh, there's this teaching, or there's this book, or there's this really cool thing I found, and Michael, take a look at this, and oh, it's great. And I looked at it, and I got to the point where I just became jaded. And it was like, God, oh, Michael, I have this new thing. And I'd be like, oh, man, not another new, ridiculous, inane, stupid thing. So I tried to be polite as best I could, and I wouldn't hardly even look at him anymore. But then I noticed, I just had this realization the past month or two, the past couple of years, when people have brought things to me more and more frequently, it's like, this is something great. This is something really good. And again, I'm not all thrilled about that because I found a handful of new things that I think are good. But what I am thrilled about is that people are becoming discerning. People are able to look at things and say, that's ridiculous. I'm not showing that to Michael. I have no interest in that myself. Or they look at it and they work with it and they discern and they say, you know what, that's something of value. And they continue to work with it, and it's like, you know what, I want to tell Michael about this. This is pretty good. And that, to me, is thrilling, because all of the lectures, everything I say, it's not about, even though I'd like you to learn the principles and have some memorization, and if somebody says Darwin versus creationism, you have some rational understanding of what I have to say about that as an example. And I'd like you to have, but the real purpose, the real value of it is that you take those teachings and you use them to cultivate discernment within your own being. That's the real goal. You see, the rest is just the tools with which we use to find the gold, to dig for the gold that dwells within us. So I found that really, really satisfying. Really satisfying. So Dharma can require unbelievable discipline to follow your Dharma. Unbelievable commitment, to overcome the flywheel of your own psyche, the momentum, in other words, of how you've been conditioned to think and believe, as well as all the obstacles and things that you're confronted with in life. But that's what makes a life worth living. That's what brings real fulfillment. To die in service of your divine will, your divinity. That's a life well lived.